It's mid-August in the year 2021, and we're here at Strictly Medicinal Seeds Demo Gardens. This is a mixed garden of medicinal herbs, and there are many benefits to growing a mixed species garden. One of them is that when you scratch yourself, like I did last night on my foot with some blackberries, which should have actually been removed but weren't, then for a minute you're like, oh, that really hurt so bad. And then you go, I'm an herbalist. There must be something that I can do to make this feel better. And then you look down, and the first thing you see is a yarrow plant, Achillea millefolium, and it has these deeply divided leaves that are excellent for treating any kind of injury. Not only do they stop the bleeding, but they stop the pain. So then you make a little poultice by smashing the leaves, and you rub it on the affected area, and for a minute it still hurts, and then after about a minute you kind of forget about it, and you don't even look at the wound until the next day, and it's all closed up and it's healing. So that's one of the advantages of the mixed garden of medicinal herbs. The other is there's really a benefit to all species. We're talking about bees, native pollinators, butterflies, mammals, birds. This year has been just incredible for hummingbirds. I've seen legions of hummingbirds, and I even saw hummingbirds mating yesterday, which was the first time I'd seen that in my whole life. Then the entire interconnected web of life, including fungi and bacteria in the soil and air quality, all is improved by growing the garden of medicinal herbs. And throw some vegetables in there too, so that you have something to eat from time to time. Well, we're standing here in an area that was blackberry patch last year, and we decided to repurpose it. And one of the things that was there to start with was this little patch of Ma-huang, Ephedra sinensis, right? And so one of our plans was to extend the Ma-huang bed, and to do this we created a very fast draining mound, raised bed, and we started some seeds from, they were from these plants from the previous year. We started some seeds, and we planted the seedlings down into this very fast draining mix, which is sort of typical to the northern steppes of China and Russia, where the plant grows naturally. So we're mimicking the natural conditions. And then these new seedlings are nearly invisible, but they're planted in here at about 3-foot centers, and you can see, maybe against my hand, you can see what a 6-month growth on a Ma-huang plant looks like. Here's a slightly bigger one, and these are dioecious, so there will be both male and female plants in here, and that's one of the advantages of growing them from seed. And then, of course, one of the advantages of growing them from cuttings is that you can know the sex of the plant before you transplant it. So it goes on, and after 2 or 3 years, then these will be seed bearing again, and also they can be harvested for the Ma-huang herb. And harvest is in the autumn, and see, these have already fruited this year. So in the autumn, what we'll do is we'll come in and we'll just cut them back like that, give them a close haircut, and that doesn't hurt the plant at all. So October is the month for harvest. So some of the other things that we have going on in this area, like I said, it was a blackberry patch, and so we tilled up a nice run and planted our moonflowers in here, and these are Datura species. Then they flower starting in the evening, and then now in the morning they're beginning to sort of collapse. But in the meantime, they make all these incredible aromas, and they attract and feed a lot of native pollinators. So then those pollinators are also attracted to other plants in the vicinity, and this increases the viability of the seeds. We cut down the blackberries and burned them, and then there were ashes, and we tilled in the ashes. So then when the ground rested afterwards, then we got some spontaneous reproduction going on. And these tobaccos really like to grow in a burned over area. And I hadn't had Huichol tobacco growing here for about a decade. And so then after we cleared the area and burned and retilled, then the volunteer plants that were in the seed bank, or the seed library perhaps, to give it a sort of a less monetary spin, did germinate. So these are the Nicotiana Langsdorffii, which is a great Native American plant native to the southwestern states. They will produce a leaf that is smokable, or can be used for any of the medicinal purposes that one uses tobacco leaves for. Very high nicotine content, and also these exotic yellow-green flowers. So that is one of the spontaneous advantages of the mixed medicinal herb garden, is that you'll have things germinating and coming up as volunteers, which you can then keep and move into a more diverse system that way. Here's one that's coming up right in the middle of the Ma-huang patch. That's a Nicotiana Langsdorffii, and this here is I believe this is a older Ma-huang that came out of the greenhouse. So that was a confirmed female plant that got planted into this fast draining medium. And then here's another one right here that's a little bit bigger, and you can see that Ma-huang is rhizomatous. It sends out a rhizome, and it can creep. It gives a node, which usually is 2 or 3 stems to the node, and then that's one of the ways that you can propagate the plant, is by cutting this clone away from the mother plant and repotting it, and that would have to be in a fast draining mix and well watered to start. And then also when I do the repotting, I would cut back the aerial portions, because any damage to the root zone is going to have to be counterbalanced by a cutting back of the aerial parts. As below, so above; as above, so below. Let's go over into this area over here. Navajo tea, Delosperma filifolium, and the leaf structure is very thin. It's almost grass-like when it germinates, but then it makes this annual plant that is so happily flowering here. And this is one of your best native tea herbs. It tastes good, and like many tea herbs, it has a very positive effect on the genitourinary tract. So this is good for maintaining the integrity of your pee. What do we have going on? Well, here's more reprod. This is something that could be kept. This is a catnip, Nepeta cataria. Smells really good. You can make a syrup out of that to treat infant colic. Not only does it sedate very gently, so it's good enough for children, but it also will improve digestion. So colic is like all the energy is coming up and out, and the kid is crying. So you want to sedate a little bit, and you want to improve that digestion and get the qi going down. So that would be a good one to keep. And catnip is famous for being difficult to grow in standard greenhouse culture. The seeds come up when they want, where they will, and so a lot of times it's best to just work with it from volunteers. Over here, this is a wild carrot, Daucus carota, but then here we have a poke plant coming up. So that's Phytolacca americana, and those are edible when they're young, and they are a great stimulant to the lymphatic system as they age. If we move over this way here, there's another poke that's just a little bit older. I think it must have been 25 years ago that I planted poke in this area. And strangely enough, now that I remember it, it was an interplant with Spilanthes, and so we're repeating history here. The Spilanthes and the poke are both in the same spot again, and these Spilanthes were intentionally planted. So there's a nice row of them here, and that's Spilanthes acmella, or Acmella oleracea, I think is the new Latin on that. You know, taxonomists, if they get tired of the genus and species, then sometimes they just turn it around and make the genus name into a species name and the species name into a genus name. These are buzz buttons. Sometimes they're known as fish eyes, that for obvious reasons. They are a great anti-inflammatory medicine. So we propagate these, and when the buds mature and they no longer have that bicolor appearance, here we'll pick one, they no longer have that bicolor appearance, then these can be dried and the seed can be extracted from them. And that's what we're all about.